It's Tuesday, November 13th. Welcome to Pastor Bob Daily. You know, we have just finished an election year here in the United States, and it's been anything but fun or uplifting or anything. It's been horrific. It really has. It's been a lot of arguing. It's been a lot of frustration. It's been a lot of anger. And it's been a lot of lies and false promises. And you know what? At the final outcome, nobody's happy, really. Because the process is so bad, and we keep thinking that our security is in who we elect for a president and who we have running our land and all of those things. And you know, none of that is true. Now, I realize that I'm stepping on thin ice here today, but I want to encourage you with some things. Internationally, with some things. You know, this isn't just a problem we have in the United States. No matter what is happening here on earth, people always seem to have kind of a doomsday outlook. Somebody wrote to me and said, you know, I'm horrified. I can't even sleep. Somebody told me that God has lifted his hand on the United States now, and that we're in for some real problems because of the person we've elected or because of laws that we're passing. That can get a little scary, and there are people that believe that. And now there are people that believe that we're headed for real, sure destruction because of people we have in office, people that we have passing laws, and that's true internationally. People feel that way. You know, in my 60 years of life, I've seen a lot of people who are doomsdayers. And you know, and I've heard this kind of rhetoric for every president that we voted in. Really. Now, some have been worse than others, and I'm not going to comment on that, but we have this doomsday thinking. And you know, I stayed up for this last election until they announced who the president was, and I went to bed that night thinking a lot about it, and I woke up the next morning reading all of the comments that people were making, especially that the Christians were making about, you know, this is it, we're doomed, the horrible things are going to happen, you know, all of this stuff. And it just really got to me. And I thought, you know, I hate this. I hate this process. And I hate the fact that people are just saying, you know, it's all going to be horrible. And so I went to bed that night a little troubled, and I woke up the next morning very, very early, earlier than I usually do, with this voice in my head. God saying, I am large and in charge. And I thought, yes, that's exactly right. And I went back to sleep, and I woke up a little later, and it was there again. I am large and in charge, and it hasn't left. And I have such a peace right now because I realize, folks, that no matter who gets elected in any country, no matter what happens, we may go through some difficult times, but the fact is this: God is large and in charge. And you and I need to get back to God-inspired living. Don't live in fear. The Bible says, I didn't give you a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. You know, those are all things that God has given us. And he taught us to live above our circumstances. He says, joy is something that I gave you. Peace is something I give you. Not as the world gives. He says, my peace surpasses all understanding. So, why do we find a lack of peace and a lack of joy in our lives? Because of somebody that gets elected into office, or because of people that are voting and people that are writing laws? And you know, again, this goes for everywhere in the United States. Why do we become so frustrated? Because we take our eyes, honestly, off of the one who is large and in charge. Folks, you and I have to get back to God-inspired living. God made a lot of promises to you that he intends to keep. And with God on your side personally, our side as Christians, there is always hope. And when you see the so-called writing on the wall where you say it's all going to be bad now, you know, all these horrible things are going to happen and all the conspiracy theories come out and all of this, would you remember, honestly, that that's not biblical? God is large and in charge, and He wants us to live God-inspired, not world-inspired. His gift to you is joy and peace. Now, you may not find the world peaceful at this point, but you'll find it inside, and you can pass it on. So instead of getting frustrated and lashing out and angry and hate all the people that are supposedly passing laws and making life miserable, let's remember that our number one goal as Christians isn't that. It's to get back to God-inspired living and pass on His love and His peace. And that's the only hope the world has ever had. God bless you. Have a great day.